Welcome to Falcon Focus. It is episode number 15, our third here in the second semester. Happy Groundhog Day. Yeah, 6 more weeks of winter thanks to that little groundhog seen its shadow out in Pennsylvania. But we talk Falcon athletics and Falcon Focus here with our first guest, men's hockey, a senior forward and captain in Cole Pickup. My name is Matt Menzel. Stay tuned in segment number 2. We'll talk track and field as they get ready to start their indoor season this weekend. We will have Samantha Stark, a team associate head coach, joining us in segment number 2. But Cole, mentioned you're a captain, you're a senior now for the men's hockey team, second year at the Falcon program. What does it mean to you to be a captain of this squad?
Yeah, I mean it was an honor, of course. We had a team vote at the end of last year, so that it was kind of came from the players and as well as some input from the coaches. So yeah, like I said, it was an honor to be voted in as captain this year.
So as captain, what are some of the responsibilities, especially during a unique season like this?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, as unique as it is, like you said, just kind of being communicative with all the guys, making sure all the freshmen are staying on task and making sure they're getting their classes done and having just someone to talk to about if they have a question about anything regarding hockey or school.
You bring up the freshmen. Let's talk about the breakdown of the roster because just 5 seniors. Other end of the spectrum, there are 8 freshmen. I guess in your opinion, is this an experienced team, a young team, a blend of both? How would you characterize the roster?
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be an experienced team at the end of the day. Just a lot of us in hockey, we come in kind of later as a normal compared to a normal student. So a lot of us will play juniors till we're about 20 years old, and then we come in. So like a lot of our freshmen are already 21 years old. So and they have a ton of experience in juniors. So I mean, it's a mix. But at the end of the day, I think we're a pretty experienced team.
I'm curious, with training camp back in the fall, game action really never started until January with the exception of the exhibition game against the US U18 team. Did it take a little bit longer than maybe in years past for everybody to kind of get used to playing with one another and trying to figure out roles?
Yeah, no doubt. I think we had so many practices from August till that first game against the U18 team that I mean we were gelling well as a team. It just sometimes it just you face adversity early and kind of we had a captain's meeting yesterday and we kind of agreed that it's better to face this adversity now than at the end of the season. I'd rather start the season 2-7 than finish at 2-7. So we're happy where we are. We're going in the right direction every day, and I mean all we can ask is if we're getting better each day. So.
We'll talk about your journey to Concordia in a moment, but you're on your third coach in 3 years. Bill Horton being promoted to the head coaching role with the Falcons. He was an assistant the last couple of years. Has that taken some time to get used to, maybe not just for you, but as a whole with the team in the sense that, okay, it's a brand new coach, but did he bring a new system in? Did he just tweak some things from years past? How's that working out?
Yeah, for sure. He definitely tweaked some things. Some guys had to adapt well to it. Some haven't so far. I mean, it's just one of those things when a coach comes in. He has different systems, and he might have different theories on the game. So yeah, no, it's been great so far. I mean, I think everyone in the locker room enjoys having Coach Horton behind the bench, and so far, I mean, he's done everything to get us ready for each game. So we can't ask for much more.
Let's go back to that first opportunity for the Falcons to take to the ice as a team against somebody not named Concordia, and that was that exhibition game back on October the 23rd up in Plymouth, Michigan. Play the U.S. National U18 team and that contest that, great experience. Falcons certainly competed, held their own. You had a couple of assists on the 2 Falcon goals. Explain that experience and how much fun that was for you guys to be a part of and how that's boded well for you now going forward.
For sure, yeah. I mean, we didn't know what to expect when we went into that game. I mean, we knew they would obviously be very skilled, young, maybe a little bit less experienced than us, but we knew we would be facing this really super skilled team. So we went in there and just we wanted to make sure we were playing hard and playing the body well. And it was just one of those things. It was a great experience at the end of the day. A lot of those guys are going to probably play in the NHL one day. So it'll be something that we'll look back at in 5-10 years from now and think it's a pretty cool experience.
So that was October 23rd. Then what? All of a sudden you're sitting kind of standing still because maybe some practices. There was supposed to be some games, COVID-19, altering those non-conference plans. And then finally the schedule comes out maybe a month or 2 later, and you're playing again January 9th. So what do you guys do between October 23rd and January 9th to just stay fresh?
For sure, yeah. I mean, we had a good break. Obviously, we got hit kind of with the COVID-19 there. So a lot of us were in isolation and in quarantine. So, yeah, basically November was a pretty long month. I had to isolate for 2 weeks, and then I was out for about a week, and then I went back home to Canada, which I had to quarantine for another 2 weeks. So A lot of us were trying to stay on the ice and stay in the gym, but if you were quarantined or isolated, I mean, it was pretty hard to. But I mean, we had a lot of different like Zoom calls with our as a team and things like that, just to stay intact and make sure that we were still had the same goals that we had when we came here in August.
Are you personally, are you doing a lot of individual workouts then, just to, again, stay fresh, to stay in that mindset?
Yeah, I mean, there's about 6 of us from Victoria on our team from British Columbia, and when we had to go home, 4 of us got a Airbnb together, so we did some workouts together when we quarantined. And I know other guys were when they stayed here in Wisconsin, Mequon, that they got together on the ice here when they were out of quarantine and things like that. So guys were always in communication, and I think that's one of the big advantages of our team is that we're pretty close knit. So it's going well so far.
How often do you get the opportunity to head back home in a normal non-COVID year?
Yeah, I mean, usually I get to go home for about 7 to 10 days, and then obviously in the summers I get to go home. When I've been here, at least I've been able to go home for the summer. So, been fortunate that way. My parents got to come down a couple times last year, which was nice. Obviously this year it's a little bit different with the rules, but yeah, I get enough time at home, that's for sure.
I do have to ask, how does the weather compare in British Columbia? Certainly, we've gotten the 10 inches of snow now, not once but twice in the past week. But how does maybe a winter compare there versus here?
Yeah, I mean, I know 32 Fahrenheit, 0 Celsius, so
I don't know
we
what you just said.
we get around we sometimes get around 32 Fahrenheit, so just freezing, but a lot of rain, not as much snow every couple of years maybe. But yeah, our winters are pretty mild.
So this is like nothing. Well, it
This
is a little bit something for you. It's something to get used to a little bit.
Yeah, it definitely was. I mean, when I came here, Guerra and Gainey, they kind of got me geared up for the winters here.
Well, looking at hockey right now, and going back to the task at hand, and a couple of home games coming up this weekend. St. Scholastica will be in town for a 7 o'clock game on Friday, a 4 o'clock game coming up on Saturday. But okay, the team right now sits with a couple of victories, 7 defeats. You mentioned that. 3 1-goal losses. You guys have been right there, but 3 1-goal setbacks. I guess in your opinion, what's been the story of the first 9 games? What do you like? What needs to improve?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously we've faced a ton of adversity so far. Obviously some of the games haven't gone the way we wanted to, but if you look at a lot of those scores, we're right there. And I mean, either we're giving them a couple goals really early. We got to work on our first periods and playing well that way. But I mean, it starts in practice. Sometimes in practice, we just got to dial in a little bit more and be ready right from the get-go. And we're getting better each day at that, like I said. So, no, like I kind of mentioned before, it's good to face this adversity now, especially with like the amount of freshmen we have and underclassmen we have. It's good for them to see that these games are important right now and that they do add up in the end. We're fortunate enough that they're not all conference games, that they won't bite us in the butt too much, but yeah, we're going in the right direction.
Yeah, be sure to check out cwfalcons.com for more information. But the NCHA finally came out with their plans on how they're going to kind of go about this season, what games count toward conference, what may count toward a tournament berth. But, as it sits right now, you mentioned it. Okay, so kind of chalk everything off as non-conference, preparing for what will be this weekend and going beyond. But this past weekend, a split against Marion Friday. You guys were up in Fond du Lac, a 4-3 loss against the Sabres. In your opinion, at least in that game, what was the difference?
Yeah, I mean, they're obviously a really good team. They're well coached, and I mean, they work hard. They have a lot of skill up front and they're on their forwards, and I mean, their defense, they move the puck well. We knew we'd expect a good team and a good game, especially if we showed up, and like I said, if we fixed our first periods. And I mean, we showed up on Friday night, and I mean, we did pop them a couple goals early, but so we were always fighting back that game. But after the game, we were really happy with our effort, and I mean, it was just kind of came down to a couple mistakes, and we tweaked those for Saturday night, and we had a great start, and obviously Gainey there had a great game, and McGarva and net. So it was a really good showing from everyone. I mean, we've kind of preached all year that it's going to take everyone that's in the lineup to contribute, and on Saturday night we saw that firsthand.
Hey, you mentioned the Saturday, the bounce back at the Ozaki Ice Center, a 4-1 victory. Despite being outshot 44-33, made the most of the opportunities. Now, you had the first goal in both games, a power play goal on Friday. How would you go about describing those goals?
Yeah, Friday, I mean, I actually had to come to the bench and ask how I got that puck. And it was Guerra who slid it over, who's pretty good around the net. And then on Saturday night there, Panger found me and Nick Gainey there for a 2-on-0 somehow, and we snuck behind the D, and Nick got me the puck there, and I just tried to put it in the right spot, and it ended up working.
Now, you guys may, as of right now, the schedule says yes, but we'll see how things play out. Scheduled to play Marion again coming up in March. But how physical of a game was Saturday? You look at least number-wise, there were 14 combined called penalties. I mean, did that get, pretty physical? Was it one of the more physical games of the year?
Yeah, I mean, on Friday night there was quite a few calls as well, so we thought Saturday they'd tighten it up a little bit and kind of put the whistles away, but it kind of ended up going the other way. And I mean, our power play and our penalty kill have been pretty good so far this year for us, so we're pretty confident in the special teams department. Especially early on in this year, we were kind of relying on those two to win us the games or keep us in games. So now that we've cleaned up our 5-on-5 play, it's better that way. But yeah, it was kind of one of those games where it was pretty choppy. There wasn't a lot of flow to it. I mean, I don't know if that kind of played into our favor or not, but it ended up working out in the end. So can't complain.
How about for you individually so far? 9 goals, 6 assists. You've had points in 7 of the 9 games. Are you pleased with your play at this point?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I've been fortunate enough to be playing with some good players, and like I said before, our power play's been clicking. So, yeah, it's just getting a bigger opportunity this year, obviously, and just trying to take the most of it.
You started your collegiate career at Nebraska Omaha. What brought you to Concordia ultimately?
For sure, yeah. I mean, when I was looking to transfer to another Division I school, I had to redshirt, so I thought it was best for me to kind of take a step back and go Division III and worry about my schooling and keep playing hockey at the same time. And I reached out to my buddies who are here, and they only had good things to say about the school and the hockey program. And at that point, I really, I looked into it, talked to the coaches at the time, and I liked what they had to kind of say and offer. And it was I haven't regretted the decision at all yet.
Was it a big adjustment at all going from Nebraska Omaha to Concordia year number 1? Just maybe as far as the style of hockey, just getting used to the competition level.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think the NCHA here is it's a lot more physical. It's more a little bit of that grind hockey to it. Guys are really hard on their sticks in this league, and I mean, you're not gonna be able to walk around a defenseman very easily without getting either chopped down or kind of getting dragged down by him. So, yeah, no, it's definitely a little bit more physical, and obviously the speed and skills right there with it. But yeah, no, it's great hockey.
You had a great first year with the Falcons in 2019-20 with 7 goals, 8 assists. So I guess with that being said, knowing that it might be a lengthier offseason, maybe what was your focus or your goals for you going into now year 2 with Concordia?
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, we knew the pieces we kind of had coming back, and I was communicating with Coach Horton there most of the summer, so I kind of had an idea of who was coming in and what kind of talents he was bringing in. So it just got us excited for to come back as quick as we could. And once we heard that the season and Concordia was going to do as much as they could to make sure we were going to play, we were really excited. And so, guys, we were on the ice all summer. A lot of like us Victoria guys, I was making sure we were all getting on the ice back home because there's 6 of us. So I mean, there's a quarter of our team, so I made sure we were dialed in. And I know the guys that were staying here and stuff, they were skating lots and training. And yeah, I mean, most of the guys are kind of in groups in little areas, so it's good that way. But yeah, like I said, I mean, we knew the group we had coming back and the pieces we were adding, so we've just been excited.
How about for you growing up? Has hockey always been your number 1 sport?
Yeah, I mean, I played box lacrosse back home as well, so it's been right neck and neck. I've always been told I got to choose one sport. I've been fortunate enough to been able to play both still. But yeah, no, I mean, hockey definitely has been my favorite for the long haul, but we'll kind of see where it takes me.
How about growing up, and maybe this hasn't changed over time, but do you have a favorite pro sports team?
Favorite pro sports team? I mean, at the end of the day, it's probably Vancouver Canucks being near there. Especially in the last couple of years, they've really brought in some good players. So they've been drafting well, and they've got some really good young talents, fun to watch.
Do you get a chance to go to any games when you're?
I've honestly probably I've only probably been to about 4 or 5, but just because we got to take that hour-and-a-half ferry boat over to the mainland to go see it, so it does get costly at the end of the day. But no, I mean, every game that is on TV, basically, we've been watching here, and I mean, like I said, there's a lot of guys from BC on the team, so a lot of us are fans of them.
See, I'm probably dating myself now. This is probably before your time, but do people even remember the Vancouver Grizzlies from a basketball standpoint anymore?
I think so. Yeah, there's some talks. I mean, I remember a big talk was that Steve Nash didn't get drafted there back in the day. Yeah, I vaguely remember. I always remember there was a basketball at my house, the Vancouver Grizzlies logo on it. But other than that, no.
How about from an athlete standpoint? Do you have a pro athlete that maybe you looked up to, or you try to maybe emulate your game after?
Yeah, always like there was guys like Jerome McGinley and Shane Doan who are guys that played in the WHL, and they were guys that kind of had to persevere through things when they were growing up. Playing, they were undrafted in the WHL draft, and so was I at that point. So I kind of looked up to them as they kind of made their steps their own way, and they kind of didn't really care what other people thought, and just kind of went to the rink, did their business, and kind of left it all on the ice.
How about in your hockey life? I mean, various places you've been throughout your lifetime in the sport. Hopefully the best is yet to come, but do you have one moment, one highlight, a game where you point and say, so far that is like the highlight of where I'm at?
Yeah, I think growing up, me and Nick Gainey, we grew up playing with each other. I think, I probably played hockey for about 21 years, and I've played with him for 17 of them, I think. So it's kind of funny how we've ended up here together. And I think back in Bantam when we won back-to-back provincial championships, so it'd be like a state championship. That was pretty cool that we went back-to-back. And in that year as well, we played in a tournament, and we ended up beating a team that now has like about 4 NHLers on it. So back then, yeah, it was pretty cool as a 14-year-old kid. And then again, just being able to play junior hockey in my hometown for 4.5 years, that was pretty cool. I got to stay home and live at home with my family and get to play in front of my friends and family every night. So it was pretty fortunate that way.
Where's the coolest place you've ever played a game? Whether it be a state, country, arena? Is there one place where you go, man, that ranks number one?
Yeah, it would have been the Ralph Engelstad in North Dakota. I was fortunate enough to play in a couple games there when I was on Nebraska Omaha. We played a playoff game there once, and I think there were 16,500. So yeah, it's basically like you look up and you're like, holy smokes, all these people are here to watch us. It's nerve-wracking, but after you get that first shift down, you're like, oh, it's just another hockey game. So, yeah, it was pretty cool, that's for sure.
Well, let's wrap it up by looking ahead of this weekend and mention the Falcons will be back in action, looking to pick up where they left off after that win on Saturday. You have games against St. Scholastic on Friday at 7 p.m. and then again Saturday at 4 p.m. A team the Falcons beat last year 4-3 and 7-2 up in Minnesota. I guess just overall, what do you expect? What do you hope happens this weekend? What needs to happen to take care of business?
For sure. We've been kind of telling the guys like all week. It starts in practice. We need to be dialed in for practice. Make sure our passes are on. Maybe we're not 100% going as fast as we can every single rep, but at least if the passes are on and we're using our heads, it just kind of becomes second nature for the games. And then again, just getting better on our quick starts. We've obviously been kind of spotting teams' goals right away, and we've been having to fight back the whole game. So kind of eliminating that and making sure that we're kind of the team to score first, that we give ourselves that advantage right away. And, yeah, just making sure that we're supporting our defense and our goalies. Us forwards, we can kind of get a little greedy sometimes and lean up ice, and we got to make sure we play both ends of the rink as well. So, no, we're happy where we're at. We're going in the right direction, like I said, and yeah, it should be a great weekend of hockey.
Well, Cole, thanks a lot for your time. We'll see you at the rink this weekend. Best of luck rest of the way.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
That's Cole Pickup, and we will switch gears from hockey to talking track and field with Sam Stark when we continue after this here on Falcon Focus.
Seems every college starts by asking the same question. What do you want to do for a living? You want to be a teacher? A businessman? A nurse? At Concordia University, we ask a slightly different question. What kind of person do you want to be? Because we believe success in life should be measured by how you live, not just what you do. Of course, that may not be the common way, but at Concordia, it's the only way. Concordia University. Live uncommon.
Welcome back to this week's edition of Falcon Focus on to segment number 2. And before we get to our guest, of course, we got to make sure that the hands are clean. We got the hand sanitizer, and we got to make sure that the air we breathe is disinfected with the spray. So we are ready to rock, and we are socially distanced. The masks are on, and we're rolling here in 2021 and being joined by Sam Stark, the associate head coach for track and field. They get their season at least officially started. They've been practicing, but now they get to compete here this upcoming weekend. And a CUW alum, bachelor's degree in 2009, master's degree in 2011. She met her husband at Concordia. We'll talk all about that and more as we continue here in segment 2. But how excited are you to finally, get the opportunity from a coaching standpoint? You get to coach and see the athletes compete this upcoming weekend.
Oh, it's about time. I mean, we've been waiting, and last year was hard for especially the athletes. Just coming from our great indoor season where everybody was hitting PRs right when they were supposed to and looking forward to transitioning into outdoor and then that getting cut off. So I think they are most excited about finally getting to compete. I think we calculated it out, and it's been 48 days or something like that now since their last time that they've gotten to do a meet. So, no, it's got to be more than that. Anyway.
300 and something almost, yeah. I mean, you're looking at the end of February.
Right. So we're really excited to finally get back out there, see what happens, and just get those legs moving again.
We talk with other coaches and athletes about, how practices have looked different here in this COVID-19 era. And I know from a track and field standpoint, there are so many athletes with bigger roster sizes. So maybe how practices look different with this COVID-19 era. How have you guys been able to kind of maneuver around that?
Yeah. For the most part, we're doing pretty well as far as our roster sizes go, which is great. Earlier first semester, there were a few students who were still studying at home and doing that sort of thing. But for the most part, we've been really lucky in having, I think, the support of the school and the ability for them to feel comfortable being here. And so we really haven't had a ton of issues with that. I think the biggest thing for us right now is with sharing student athletes with football. And so, having those athletes who still want to do football, still want to do track, and kind of trying to find that balance between them. Right now, with Coach Etter and myself, we've, kind of worked out a deal and with the athletes and trying to prioritize correctly with, what needs to get done. So.
Now, from a practice standpoint, have you guys been able to practice all together, the track and field athletes, or have you had to break up in groups?
Luckily, I mean, with us being more of a socially distanced sport in general, being more individual, we have been able to keep our, 6-foot distance during practice, keep masks on. Well, I have to yell at them a lot for that, but there's, they've been able to do a good job. We've been able to have everybody in the field house all together and keep it almost normal for them.
Let's talk about competing with masks on, because I obviously every sport's in the same boat, but I feel like, and obviously I don't want to discredit any other sport, but I feel like track and field is one sport where it really is an adjustment. I mean, when you're running, you got this mask covering up and you're trying to breathe. How do you go about, I guess, just trying to get used to that and adjusting to life now with a mask and having to breathe a little bit differently and find ways to just overcome?
Yeah, I mean, it has been a struggle for sure, especially in the beginning with the athletes. They're like, wait, we have to wear masks while we're running? And I'm like, well, yeah. I mean, that's how this is working now. We got those under mask things that kind of hold them out so that they can breathe and not have it stuck into their mouths, and that helped a lot for them. But I think they're used to it now in some sense, where they're able to kind of breathe sort of normally and, kind of figure out when they're tired and when they're done, like, okay, I have to take, longer, deeper breaths and that sort of thing. And so they're doing a really good job with that. And, it really is more of a mental thing, I think.
Sure.
And so overcoming that and doing a good job with that. And then for us, for our actual competition, they'll be wearing the masks all day, warm-ups, that sort of thing, and then they'll be allowed to take them off just for their race and then put them back on again after. So it is a little different.
Yeah. And before we talk about this upcoming indoor season, let's go back to last year, because you guys were able to at least compete indoors, and then that's when all heck broke loose and COVID-19 canceled the duration and then on into the outdoor season. But as far as the indoor goes, the men's team finishing in 4th place in the NAC championships. The women finished in 3rd. That event taking place from Carthage College. I guess, how would you go about summarizing how the indoor season, played out last winter?
Yeah, I couldn't have seen it going any better. The athletes, all of them, or most all of them, did just as good or better than we would have anticipated in our conference championship. Like hitting PRs, doing everything that it was supposed to be. It was awesome. And then just having that taken away from some of them, mostly just the seniors especially, was hard. But we had some great seniors last year that did awesome things at the end of indoor season. One of my athletes that I coach specifically comes into mind, Nicole Belthor. She was a high jumper. Finally hit a big PR that outdoor season, put her close to ranking on the top 50 national list, and just really, really excited for that outdoor season. But I'm just still so grateful and glad that she was able to do that performance. And a lot of our other athletes were everything was finally clicking, coming into place, and they all did really well. We were looking forward to outdoor, but it could not have gone any better.
So with outdoor being canceled and then essentially more than almost a year's time now since you guys were able to compete, in that year's time, did you still communicate with athletes in the sense that, hey, there's still expectation, we want you to work on this plan or go about this, just to stay in that mindset, to stay training, to stay fresh for when the season would eventually come around?
Yeah, and our kind of goal with that was to try to still give them workouts, still give them what they would be doing if they were here. That's kind of the beauty of track being more of an individual sport, is they're able to do that training on their own. Obviously, things were a lot different because most people weren't able to get to gyms, weren't able to get to weight rooms. For distance, that stuff's easy because they just go out and run on the roads.
Absolutely.
For the sprinters, jumpers, things like that, it was a little bit different, but lots of at-home type plyo circuits and still running outside, but giving that workout a little bit different of a look. Instead of going for a certain distance, maybe they were just sprinting for a certain amount of time, that sort of thing. So still giving them all those options and opportunities and hoping that they were doing it. But still communicating with them each week. And each coach, that was the expectation. So Holly, our throws coach, was sending stuff out. Justin, our horizontal jumps coach, was sending stuff out. So everybody was pretty on top of it. And whether or not everybody was able to get stuff done was a different story, but I would say for the most part.
Mention your title, associate head coach. I guess when you look at track and field, what does that entail? What does that mean, being an associate head coach in a sport?
I do a lot of, the head coach duties, from administrative things like scheduling meets, finding the meets we're going to, scheduling the buses.
Which can't be easy. And that can't be easy this time, especially in this COVID-19 era. It's got to be unique.
Finding meets is very difficult right now, just because our none of the schools in our conference have an indoor facility, and a lot of other schools are doing in conference only competition. So finding those meets has been a challenge. Luckily, we have been able to network and talk with some other schools that we normally wouldn't necessarily go to, like Olivet Nazarene coming up. We wouldn't normally go there, but it's so grateful that we're able to get there and get to compete. And going back to Ripon, which we've gone to, a few times, is exciting. So,
What's it like to work alongside a passionate runner and Russ DeLapp, the head coach? In fact, I saw him as I was driving in. I almost hit him with my car. He's running along over here early this morning. But what's it like to work alongside someone that's so passionate about the sport like he is?
Yeah, it's awesome. I think it brings a lot to the team as someone to look up to. Like, hey, he's still doing it. He's still competing. He's still working hard. If he can do it, I can do it. I think that's awesome, and it brings so much to that. And he does have a lot of passion for running, for distance especially, and sometimes almost so much that the students can't quite relate because they're like, why? But no, it's really great to have that to look up to, and yeah.
And speaking of coaching staff, if I read correctly, going into this season, you have 2 new coaches, a new assistant and a new coach that's focused on throws. Is that correct?
No, our throws coach is still the same coach.
Okay.
And then Coach Nicole Kramer, she is our new assistant coach. So she worked at quite a few different places, but most recently was Aurora. And it's kind of nice to have her. She's experienced. She knows what she's doing. She has experience within the conference. So it's been really great to have her on board.
Well, let's break down the teams a little bit as again, we focus on the upcoming indoor season, which will get underway. Olivet Nazarene this weekend. Women's team roster breakdown is 4 seniors, couple of juniors, but then 15 sophomores and 13 freshmen. I guess when you throw out those numbers, it sounds like it's a younger team, a lot of young blood. I guess what's kind of the outlook on the women's side?
Yeah, it is young. It is a lot newer. But I'm really excited. We've got couple freshmen who are going to do some big things. Ashley Smuda in triple jump especially. I'm really excited. Her and Alden, our senior, I think they're going to be neck and neck and really leading the conference in triple jump too. And so it's kind of really exciting where it's one of those things where it fluctuates each year. Like some years there's no talent in that event. Some years there's a bunch. So and it's really kind of fun that they'll be able to practice together and push each other at practice and have that competition, because I feel like we haven't really had that in the horizontal jumps in a long time. So that's really fun.
You brought up Alden Goucher, and she was on our show a few months ago, and talk about versatility. I mean, triple jump. I mean, from that to long jump, she's been in the 400-meter dash. She's been part of the 4x400-meter relay. How many athletes are a lot of athletes like Alden in the sense that they have that versatility, they have that ability to kind of jump from one event to the next? But it seems like, at least with her, I mean, her schedule on a daily, meet basis, I mean, she's booked solid.
Yeah. It's rare to have an athlete that's going to be that talented in that many events, especially with it being a longer sprint event, the 400 and triple jump. They're a little bit different in as far as body systems go. And so she's just an athlete, right? and kind of the same thing with Ashley too going in. So I'm excited to see what she does too. But there's not that many, maybe we've got 1 or 2 on our team each year who are talented like that. So
breaking down the men's side, and the roster has 3 seniors, 6 juniors, 10 sophomores, 13 freshmen. So again, when you look at the numbers, it would seem like it's another younger squad. What's the outlook on the men's side?
It'll be interesting. There's been a lot of changes, some injuries, some things like that. And so just almost finding a new niche, a new place for some of our athletes. For example, Paul Leahy, he was one of our bigger sprinters the past few years, just struggling with an injury. And so we're kind of transitioning him more into jumps. And so he's doing long jump right now. He's going to start learning high jump. And I'm really excited about it because I think he's another one of those athletes who can succeed in a lot of different areas. So looking forward to that, seeing what he can do. Samuel Sprenger, who was a senior last year, is coming back for the outdoor season. So that'll be really exciting to have him back and have an opportunity to make kind of that comeback in that last season. And he'll be a good motivator for some of our other younger crew. We've got a lot of those younger guys, and right now there's not a lot of guys, to train with and in the 400 group. So it'll be nice to have another person and another, solid runner in the 4x4.
How about for you, besides being the associate head coach, there are certain events that you're focused in on, that you work with those specific athletes. What are some of those, events? And then when you look at a meet, what does a typical meet day look like for you? Are you kind of all over the place, just kind of keeping in and taking in all the action?
Yeah, I'm all over the place for sure. I specifically coach sprints, so everything from the 60 through the 400, and then high jump. So those are the ones that I focus on the most. We've got other coaches that help with the other events. I know a lot of the other events, so I can definitely help out with them. I did a lot of the other events in college, so can help out in those areas if needed. Say one of our other coaches can't make it to the meet, then I'll help out and try to watch their long jump marks or film or whatever needs to be done. But for the most part, I'm usually answering questions, especially from the younger student athletes who are like, what's going on? What is a college meet all about? And sprinters are a little bit more self-sufficient at track meets. We work on blocks, we work on things at the meet, but as far as actually coaching them during the meet, they're a little bit more self-sufficient. With high jump, I'm usually over there, doing film, watching it back, being like, okay, you need to, lean a little bit more on your curve, that sort of thing. And so they need that feedback while they're competing a little bit more so than the sprinters do. So still filming sprinters, block starts, that sort of thing, so we can look back at it during the week after. But yeah.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the fact that you've competed in a lot of the events because, Sam, this is your life. And talking about your 4 years competing with the Falcons, I got to make sure I get all this right because you competed before the NAC had 2 Cs. They were just the NAC, NAC. And as far as the NAC Championship Field Athlete of the Meet, that was in 2009. You received that in indoor and outdoor. In 2008, outdoor. NAC Championship Women's Overall Athlete of the Year in 2007, indoor. You set 5 school records in throws, relays, multi-events, and earned CW Female Athlete of the Year in 2009. And, I mean, that's just, the tip of the iceberg when we talk about your resume here at Concordia. When you look back at your years competing here, what highlights or what memories, what stands out to you? What are you most proud of for your time as a Falcon?
I just had a lot of fun. I had fun with our, Coach Adam Walker was my coach while I was here. And he was just so much fun to work with, such a good mentor. And then just the friendships that I built on the team. So much fun. I think I remember, my friend Alex Foss was my roommate, Janine Corbin. And it was a small team. We had maybe 20 people back then on the entire team, men and women combined. But there was a lot of talent, and between, different, all around. Amanda Kutka was on the team, Michael Lorenzen, Brock Salveson. So we had a lot of people who were just doing really big things. We were kind of dominating the conference each season, and that was so much fun. And I want to get back to that point with our team now. And I'm excited to help, keep moving us forward towards that.
Well, after you were done competing, you became a part-time coach in 2010. Was it ever your thought when you were competing that maybe you'd go the coaching route at some point and then it would blossom into what you are today?
I had no idea. I just knew that I couldn't give it up yet, and I wanted to stay involved. I was doing, athletic training. I was a GA with athletic training at the time, so still working with them. I was still here on campus, and I just still wanted to be involved. And so I was kind of working with, what was I working with? Long and triple jump, I think, at the time, and throws a little bit. The events that I did, and those were my favorite events. And so just kind of helping out where I could, and yeah.
Was that tough? You bring up athletic training, and that was your bachelor's degree, and I know you still do some athletic training when you can, but to juggle that, I mean, there's so much demand in that field, but then to be able to, from an education standpoint, focus there, but also be able to compete?
I don't think I had a ton of problem with it. I think as long as you're kind of coming into school, I was, not to brag, but I was a stronger student coming in, and I enjoy learning. I enjoy education. And I think, when you're in a more demanding major, most of the people are like that. And so it was more, and once you're in college and you're learning how to do something that you want to learn, it's a little bit different. So I think it was not as hard as it could have been. And with athletic training, and with track being more individual type of sport, it was easy to kind of balance that a little bit. I covered men's basketball quite a bit as a athletic training student, and so we practiced at a different time, and it was easy enough to work through.
Well, I got to bring it up because Valentine's Day is 12 days away. You did meet your husband back in Concordia. Corey, you can't miss him. He's 6'8". He was a heck of a player in his time with the men's basketball team from 2007 through 2011. You guys have 2 little ones now.
We do.
Who's the better athlete between you and Corey?
I'll say it was me, but he, made it to a national championship or not national championship, but made it to the national tournament with his team. So I'm sure he would say he is. But at the time, I think I was. Coach Cassidy will talk about all the time. I was in the field house on the other side of the gym while they're having practice flipping tires, and Corey could barely throw up a bar when he was a freshman. So.
From now track and field, going back as we wrap things up, I just want to get your thoughts real fast. Okay, so the track and field schedule, Olivet Nazarene coming up this weekend, and then at Ripon on February 20th, at Aurora the 27th of February, and then you kind of slide into the outdoor season at some point next month. I guess, again, just your thoughts on the road ahead, what you hope to accomplish in these next few weeks in preparation for not only what is again a quick indoor season, but then going into that outdoor campaign.
Yeah, I think we're just looking at indoor as almost a shake off the dust, get the legs moving, see where we're at. You know, it's been a while, so I'm trying to mentally prepare them, you know, that everybody's going to be in the same boat. You might be disappointed that you're not farther along, but everybody else is going to be in the same boat, if not us being a little bit ahead of the game. I think we've been able to come back earlier, be practicing this whole time. And they've been, you know, getting workouts, getting training, all that sort of thing. So I think they're in a good place. And I think looking at our roster size compared to some other schools, I'm optimistic for our conference championships for outdoor.
Well, great stuff, Sam. Thanks a lot for your time. Best of luck this season, and definitely a unique season, but we'll be watching. So good luck.
All right. Well, thank you.
Being surrounded by Sams. Thanks to Sam Dunn behind the scenes. Matt Meadow, thank you for watching Falcon Focus. And again, as long as it's safe to do so, we'll be with you again next week for another edition on CWFalcons.com.